Hello, everybody. It is a Wednesday live. How's everybody feeling? I usually do like a 1 to 2 minute intro just as people start to come in. I love seeing the returning viewers and checking out what you guys are saying in the chat. Today's topic is a very important one, and that is cult warning signs. And I will be referring to the BITE model developed by Dr. Stephen Hassan. And it is the BITE model of authoritarian control. We're going to get into it. I'm going to wait for more people to kind of come in. I do see that the viewers start to come in. Hello, everybody. And while I'm at it, honestly, in this intro, I want to say that I have finally completed my plan, my outline for my cult story video. I know that viewers of my channel who have been here for a while, but also my friends and family, you've been waiting for this for a while, and I so appreciate your patience. It's just been a lot to organize my experience into a way that was coherent and in chronological order, and being able to provide all the details for you and kind of what that time of my life was like and how intense it was. Hello, I see the hey in the chat. Hey. So now that script is finally ready, that outline, I am going to be coming out with that video very, very soon. And that will kick off my deconstruction series, where I am going to break down kind of post-cult support, what that looks like, and how to build yourself back up, essentially. It's not for the faint of heart. It's a very hard process, and I don't want anybody to feel alone if you're going through that currently, if you're trying to leave some type of high control group, or even if you've been out of one for years. Maybe you'll be able to take something away from my videos. So that's all I want to do here, is to provide insight and support and love, so that we can empower ourselves and trust ourselves again after having such a traumatic experience like being in a high control group. So I'm seeing there's more viewers here now. So hello, everybody. We're going to get into it. This BITE model off of the Freedom of Mind Resource Center's website. You can download this as a PDF for free, guys. Maybe I'll go ahead and link it in the description after I'm done filming this. But it's supposed to be paired with what's called the influence continuum. And it's a sliding scale of what is considered constructive and healthy and what is destructive and unhealthy for individuals, leaders, and organizations. These kind of bullet points of dynamics. But we are going to just focus on the BITE model itself today. And BITE stands for behavior, information, thought, and emotion. These are 4 different categories that high control groups and cults use to attract but also keep members. And it says, okay, that might sound weird to say they attract members with it. It doesn't start as like, I mean, if people knew that they were getting into a cult, they wouldn't join. Like, it's always presented as some type of, hey, this is the answer to everything. This is going to help you. This is going to let you live your best life, basically. And I'm just seeing something in the chat here. One second. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that, Tony. This commenter in my chat said there was like this evolving kind of relationship with this person who was group leader turned mentor turned friend of 4 years. Liked the unconventionality he brought to my life, but he couldn't accept me as a sovereign individual. That's the thing. They slowly strip away your sense of individuality. And what I felt in the group that I left was my sense of intuition. Slowly, it was like, it's like boiling a frog. They slowly turn up the heat. All of a sudden, I had such a fear and such a inability to trust myself. If I had any ailment or question or decision I had to make or guidance of like just anything, any interpretation of life stuff or spiritual stuff, I went to my guru first and foremost and I asked her. And so that's what they do. It's like you can't think for yourself. You have to rely on the system, this like dogma, this structure becomes your lifeline. And so anyway, the model here does say, kind of as an intro blurb, Dr. Stephen Hassan, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. I was going to look that up before starting the stream, but I didn't have time. I'm sorry. But he does say that not every point in these categories is met by every group, but it's just a way to be able to identify the methods and to recognize what could be a potentially dangerous and harmful situation and environment. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the first one, which is behavior control. This has 25 categories, and I'll just I'll list them, but if I have any additional insight, I will also get into it. Regulate the individual's physical reality is number one. Number two, dictate where, how, and with whom the member lives and associates or isolates. When, how, and with whom the member has romantic relations with. Control types of clothing and hairstyles. This is a big thing that's a big physical indicator. I mean, maybe they all wear white. Maybe they all have like a bracelet or like a crown or just a symbol, a necklace or something. It can be literally anything. For the group that I was in, it wasn't necessarily us looking the same. It was more so like, I don't even want to say it's going against modern society. I mean, it kind of is, like against fast fashion of like all of the clothes that are cheap and made of polyester that's literally plastic, that's put into beads, that's melted down to create threads, and then that's what makes your frickin' shirts that are $4. It's the belief is that it doesn't let your energy breathe. And I know that there are other groups like this too, where they only wear linen and cotton. But newsflash, those types of clothes, especially linen, are typically pretty expensive. So, I mean, there was this whole fear around it of like, oh, your aura's not breathing, your energy's not breathing. And if it's not breathing, that means that you're not like you're restricted basically, like your field is cut off and your vibrancy isn't as bright and you're not going to attract your blessings and like like it can kind of snowball very quickly. And you don't want to, ultimately, more so for the group that I left, it was like a health thing. You don't want to put your health in jeopardy by wearing polyester, basically. So another thing is regulate diet, food and drink, hunger, and or fasting. I know that in certain groups, like in Nexium, this was very, very, very severe. And also Love Has Won, the Love Has Won cult, that was also where the leader very, very sadly was on a very restrictive, self-imposed diet, thinking that that was what her guides wanted from her. For the group that I left, it wasn't necessarily like they told me when I could not eat. That's not what happened. For me, it was more like, oh, these certain food groups that, again, are very accessible and very cheap to buy in America, you don't want to be eating those. You want to have organic only, and you want to like eat like certain types of like healthy foods. Like, I might get into it more in my video, but I mean, they were against like grains and certain types of meat and like certain oils, and they were very pro as much fruit as possible kind of thing. And for those of you who are familiar with high control groups, having an all fruit diet is very unsustainable. Your body literally cannot handle that, no matter how much you try to kind of brainwash yourself into thinking, oh, this is so pure, this is so good, it's just sugar and water. That's not enough to sustain your body in these forms, no matter how hard you try to make yourself believe that it will. So that was kind of a big thing of like, trying to be plant-based, trying to, saying that fruit is like so good, eat your water, drink your solids. That was a direct quote from my ex-guru. But yeah, so it wasn't about scheduling necessarily, but it was like, the point was the fear mongering of like, these are the good foods and these are not. Do not eat the bad foods. Because again, you're kind of putting yourself at risk, not only physically, but spiritually. And that can take a toll on you to have like any kind of restriction around food. That's like very sensitive for some people. So another thing, manipulation and deprivation of sleep, financial exploitation, manipulation, or dependence. This is very, very popular across cults. This was also present in in the cult I left, unfortunately. Restrict leisure, entertainment, and vacation time. Major time spent with group indoctrination and rituals and or self-indoctrination, including the internet. That was something that was present in the group I left. Permission required for major decisions, rewards and punishments used to modify behaviors, both positive and negative. Discourage individualism, encourage groupthink. So it was really strange. I'll get into it a little bit more in my video that I'm going to be coming out with here soon, but it's like they try to pull you in with, oh, these are the answers, and I know that you're hurting because of the state of the world, and we are telling you that we can help you, and we have the answers, and we have the love, and like, we will accept you. Like, that is like a big message. We will accept you. Those other people on the outside, society, whatever, they don't accept you, but we are telling you that we do. Like, we see you. And then once they get you in with that, it's like a slow sort of like really, really strange, I guess, cage that's slowly descending upon you in a way of like, this is the way things are. This is the belief system. You follow these rules. You do this stuff because that's what is going to ensure your spiritual safety and well-being. Okay. And like, yes, you are a sovereign being and you are beautiful, but also don't question what we're teaching you, question everything else. So yes, discourage individualism and questions while encouraging groupthink of like, this is your family now. This is the belief system. This is the only thing worth believing in. So if you do anything else, you're going to be subjected to some type of harm. So yeah, that's where that all kind of like, that's the branch. That's, I guess, the iceberg of that concept. So continuing on here, it goes into impose rigid rules and regulations. Yes. Punish disobedience by various forms of harm, threaten to harm family or friends, force an individual to do certain activities, encourage and engage in corporal punishment, instill dependency and obedience, yes. And then the rest of them are different forms of harm that one could do on a person. For YouTube guidelines, I can't necessarily say all these words, but separation of families is a big one on here. And I do want to talk about this a little bit in the sense of like that us versus them belief that's fostered in your mind from being in a group like this is, well, kind of like what I was saying a couple seconds ago. Well, we love you. Society doesn't accept you. You've had XYZ experiences. That's why you're here with us, right? And so eventually it turns into a thing. Well, we know that they take everything that you say and almost like use it against you later. This is very common in a bunch of cults. That's why I'm bringing it up right now, is that like you might open up to your guru or to a group member even about like, oh, well, my family is very strained, like our relationship or like our household, I have a complicated relationship with my mom or my brother or whoever. And then it'll kind of come back around in a session or whatever and be like, well, you need to kind of think about this. They might be preventing your growth. They might be siphoning your energy, quote unquote. They don't understand us and you, and they're holding you back, you know? And so that whole separation of families thing, to me, that's what that means, of like, they deliberately bring you further and further away into the in-group that they have created, and they make everyone else in your life who's not in the cult the out-group and the enemy eventually. So I'm looking at the chat here. Yeah, so thank you for your comment, Nat. I'm going to, there were a lot of things that, so he said, what was the point of conflict between you and your guru that made you realize that, oh, this is not normal? I will be talking about that in depth in my upcoming video, but just for the sake of the live and for the people who are attending here now, a way that I can kind of briefly touch on it is, when I realized that she had a very specific belief system, in the sense of like, how can I explain this? Because like, I knew that she was like passionate, and like she had gotten on a really long call with me to tell me about like the new age starseed kind of stuff, and it really resonated with me at the time. It was something I didn't know about, and I thought it was cool or whatever. But basically what had happened the moment that I started to realize, oh crap, was when I had enrolled in her healing class to get a certification. And it was the intro meeting. It was like a Zoom meeting for all the new students, the new initiates. And she was pretty much giving us the lowdown. This is where stuff started to get dark, because before it was like, oh, love, and oh, this is a really powerful technique, and you can do this, and you can make money, you know, helping other people with this modality and stuff like that. But then when we were actually in the call itself, she's like, hey, this system that I'm going to be teaching you does not align with, just to name a few, like a lot of the popular new age modern spiritual beliefs of like no archangels, no cube, Metatron's cube, no flower of life. Those are all death technologies, she called them, death science. That is siphoning you, that is like tricking you, that is evil, basically. And so she's like, you can't work with archangels. You can't have these symbols on your phone or in a necklace or in your home or anywhere. You can't associate with these at all. And there were a few other things she mentioned, but those are the main things. And obviously in the spiritual community, for those who are familiar, you know, archangels are very popular to work with, and not just in like modern spiritual circles, but also, I mean, certain monotheistic faiths, you know, Christianity and stuff. So it's like, I remember her saying this in a way that was very intense and like, hey, this is not this, and you can no longer associate with this. This is not a choice, essentially. And when a student actually spoke up, he turned on his microphone. He was like on camera. He's like, you know, I've had a lot of positive experiences with archangels, and, you know, hearing this is kind of a shock. You know, it's being told that these beings that have had me, you know, I have felt love from them. I have felt support from them. And now you're telling me that they're actually evil and they're actually bad. I'm having a hard time accepting this, basically, which is very reasonable. And she said, I can't make this up. I wish I still had the recording, but I don't, because it was from years ago. But she said, if you can't accept this, we need to talk. Like privately. If you can't accept this, we need to talk. And when I tell you, that entire Zoom call went silent. Silent for a couple solid seconds, and then she kind of continued on her spiel. But you could see on the video feeds, everyone was like looking around like, did she really just say that? But like nobody knew what to say. So there was like some awkward freaking silence, and then my ex-guru continued with what she needed to say for the call. Oh, so immediately I was like, oh, so this isn't open. This isn't just a technique. This is the technique, the only. in the only system that is absolutely pure, that is absolutely top tier. And that is so common in cults of like, we are the one true way. And obviously that's not true. And it's very harmful. So, okay. We're going to get into the next section here, you guys. This is the information control. So this is a section I really, really resonate with the previous group, the group I was involved in. And so there's a few different points and they're broken down into like, it's like a number and then a letter, but I'm just going to kind of try to summarize what each of these are. So number 1 is deception. Deliberately withholding information, distort information to make it more acceptable, and then systematically lie to the cult member. So I guess, yeah, maybe it could be applied to that concept of, oh, love bomb them, make them feel like we see them, make them feel like we understand and we have the answers for them, but then be like, it's slowly narrow the keyhole, slowly make their world smaller and smaller and smaller, compacted into this very specific system and idea. Because, yeah, I mean, like distorting information to make it more acceptable, it's like you think that you're made to believe that there is freedom, that there is openness, that this is a growth-oriented, loving community when it's just about control and elitism and ego. So continuing on here, number 2 is minimize or discourage access to non-cult sources of information. Yes, this is a huge one for the group that I left. So basically, it was in multiple layers. So the us versus them was like, oh yeah, other perspectives, nah, they're too old or they're not pure or both, whatever. Even people in the same community, and sorry, I should have said maybe earlier, for those of you who don't know, I was in what's called a Keylontic science group, Keylontic science. That is not something that is very popularly or like widely known, that perspective. I think it was a little more popular in the 2010s, maybe. Keylontics, there's like a whole Keylontics movement in like the 2010s, I think. But basically, this group took it a step further of like, not only are out-group perspectives and people, impure and not the highest, right? Even resources from the Keylontic science, the Christic science, the star seed kind of community, those are out of date. You can't trust those. Number 1, the source itself, but you also can't trust the authors of the sources because they might not be fully aligned. They might be hijacked. And I'll break down all of this lingo and like dogmatic kind of speak in my video, but the whole concept of like being hijacked is like essentially Keylontic science's version of possession, I guess, because if you are like somehow not in integrity with your sense of soul remembrance, and your true nature and your sovereignty and your blah, 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 like the higher perspective and all that in their way, not in your way, in their way, you are leaving holes in your energy, in your field for entities and dark evil forces to like work its way into you and essentially make you act a certain way, say certain things that is actually evil and that is actually bad. And like, you might not even know. I'm going to have a whole separate video. I'm going to mention it in my story video, but I'm going to have a whole separate video about how this can severely, severely damage people who are neurodivergent and have mental illness things going on. Like, just hearing that, come on. Like, you might not know that you're being controlled by an evil entity. Give me a break. I can't. I'm so passionately, I get so angry. That's not okay. That's going to send somebody into a spiral. That is effing dangerous. So, anyway, yeah. So basically, even our own information in the own like broader community of Keylontic science was not safe. It had to come from my ex-guru or her friends. Like, it had to be pre-approved. Otherwise, it was out of date and, like, unreliable. Like, we couldn't just get starseed books and, like, watch videos and, like, listen to audios. Oh my goodness. Audio meditations? Well, there could be secret woven, you know, incantations of reversal and harm in there. Or there could be, you know, inorganic architecture of, like, symbols and stuff that are not fully pure and not fully aligned. So that was, like, really, really, really wild. Another way that this can happen is, like, not just with media, but this list also calls out former members. Keep members busy so they don't have time to think and investigate. That was a big thing in my group too. You could never keep up with the information fast enough. Everything was constantly changing in the cosmos. And guess who was the only source of accurate, up-to-date information? My ex-guru. You guessed it. Wow. So, yes, that was a big thing. It was like, it was a slippery slope of not feeling good enough. You were scared constantly that what you knew was out of date, that you were doing the wrong thing, the wrong ritual. You had to be up to date with everything that was going on so that you could pivot however you needed to. Because there were a bunch of different words used, like visualization, different, I guess, concepts like different colored flames and the way to set the space of protection before doing deep, what's called psychic surgery, you know? So it's like, if you didn't do something right, or if you didn't stay up to date, again, you guessed it, it's leaving you open and vulnerable to some type of attack spiritually from a being that is bad. So, yes, moving on to this next thing, compartmentalize information into outsider versus insider doctrines. Yeah. Ensure that information is not freely accessible. Control information at different levels and missions within the group. Only allow leadership to decide who needs to know what and when. Encourage spying on other members. This was not a thing, thankfully, in the group that I left, I don't think. Yeah, so monitoring extensive use of cult-generated information and propaganda, including their own newsletters, magazines, platforms. That's something that I've seen extensively in the most well-known sense. I don't know if you guys have heard of the, oh my gosh, Falun Gong. I think that's how you pronounce it, if I'm remembering it correctly. I just watched like 10 documentaries about it a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like blanking in this moment. But they all wear yellow, and it is the organization behind the Shen Yun performances. All those billboards you see, that is a cult, unfortunately. And the performers are not paid, and they are heavily mistreated. So that they have their own kind of like publication. They have their own news broadcasting station where they just, you know, word vomit Shen Yun or Falun Gong. Yeah, Falun Gong. Yeah, so Shen Yun and Falun Gong are one and the same, Nat. So Shen Yun is the performance. It is actually a, like, the belief is that they perform to save the souls of the attendees. That is their, like, church. That is their mission. They want to get the show out to as many people as possible because they think that they're actually going to save the people who view the narrative that they play out on stage. So, and then yes, on, you know, not backstage, but like off stage, a lot of them, if not all of them, live in this compound based in New York, and Dragon Springs, I think it's called. And they participate in different kind of like Tai Chi, Qigong practices that are like branded and specified to like Falun Gong, basically. It's like their own version of these ancient practices, basically. Yeah, so that is a group that has, like I said, their own news station where they just pump out propaganda 24/7. And if you squint, if you don't know what you're looking at, you might think that that's a legitimate news station, like an actual, like kind of like Fox News, but it's not. It's a religious, like a propaganda religious it's channel, basically. So yes. Uh, um, the final point here in this section is unethical use of confession. So the concept of confession isn't present across all cults, but if it is, this is basically the weaponization of vulnerably sharing personal information, but also villainizing behaviors that are normal and not evil. And this kind of looks like information about sins used to disrupt and or dissolve identity boundaries, withholding forgiveness or absolution, manipulation of memory, and possible implantation of false memories. And also, just like I said, weaponizing this sense of like oversharing and like villainization of like every possible thing that in most cases are not even bad behaviors. And so we have two more sections here. That is the thought control section we're getting into now. And number 1 is require members to internalize the group's doctrine as truth. Yeah. So adopting the group's map of reality as reality. Yes. Instill black and white thinking. Yes. Horrible. Terrible. I still struggle with this sometimes, even after being out for like what? Oh, my 2-year anniversary is coming up, you guys. June 16th. Last year I bought myself a cake. This year, I don't know what I'm going to do to celebrate. I'll do something cute and fun. Yes, thank you. Yay for my friend in the comments. So, yes, decide between good versus evil. Yes. Organize people into us versus them, insiders and outsiders. It's so bad. So bad. Because like I said, it can be used later. When you get deeper and deeper and deeper into this and you are like relying on it more and more and it becomes more and more of your reality, it's all consuming. And so they'll use it to separate you from your friends and family eventually, like villainizing them and their journey. What my group did, sorry, the group that I left, not my group, I'm not going to own that. You know what I mean? They called it being on the wrong side of the bifurcation. Basically, there's this belief that we are constantly changing timelines and we're constantly evolving, which is true. But when we start to branch away during an arc of evolution or a portal of cosmic stuff that is unfolding for us at any given time, we have to be on the right side of the bifurcation. We need to stay dedicated. We need to be in the loop. And all those who are not doing what we're doing, they are on the wrong side of the bifurcation and they're falling, they're descending. And so that is the term and the concept that was used in the group that I left specifically. That looks a lot of different ways, depending on what group you're talking about or looking at. But I'm just letting you guys know that's what it looked like in the group that I was in. Number 2, change person's name and identity. That was present in, oh my goodness. I watched so many documentaries, you guys. This was present in, what was it called? In the 80s. That guy. In LA. His name started with a Y. Oh my gosh. It might come to me later, but they did that where they took on a different name. And they all wore white. They all lived on the same property. It was like very hippie-ish. I can't believe I'm forgetting the name right now. Is it the Kundalini one? No. But the Kundalini is Kundalini yoga, where that stems from. It's a cult. The Kundalini Yoga cult also owns the Yogi tea brand. You see that in grocery stores. Yogi tea in the box, that is owned by a cult. If you buy that tea, you are directly supporting a cult. No, it's Yahweh. Yahweh was the leader's name of this one. Yahweh? I think so. He was an older guy, and it was in the 80s or like the 70s or 80s. And it was kind of like a hippie-ish group. Oh my gosh. If I remember later, I'll put it in a comment or something. I'm sorry, guys. But that's an example of changing your name. Yahweh? Guys, it's going to bother me now. Hang on. I'm going to look up. Guys, I'm sorry. Yahweh. Let's see. Father Yod. Yahweh. American New Religious Movement founder. The country's first health food restaurants on Sunset Strip in Los Angeles, known as the Source Family. The Source Family. The Source Family. They have a documentary, and I watched it recently. And that was a group where they took on a different name. And they all wore white. And it started off with relatively good intentions, I think, but unfortunately this leader did fall into ego a lot. He preached monogamy and devotion, but through ego, he ended up actually changing his rules and his doctrine in his group to, which has happened before in history, of literally changing and making his own version a king in France. It wasn't King Louis, was it? Catholicism at some point, again, my brain is like turning to mush with everything I've learned over the years in this moment. I apologize. But to be able to divorce his wife and marry Anne Boleyn instead, he changed the religious structure of the city. So, yes, Yahweh, he fell into ego to the point where he wanted to take on multiple wives, but his doctrine at the time was against that. The foundations of it, the beginnings of it was against that. It was like not holy, but because of that ego taking over, he changed it. And then it just kind of devolved a lot from there. So anyway, use of loaded language and cliches which constrict knowledge, stop critical thoughts, and reduce complexities into platitudinous, platitudinous. I'm sorry, I've never seen that word before. Buzzwords, lingo. I refer to it as lingo in my content. Yes, this is a key aspect of cults is when they have their own language that only in-group members understand. This was very present in the group that I left, and I'll be talking about it more in my video. But in the Chelonic Science group in general, like the community, the movement, there's a lot of lingo, a lot of buzzwords. Encourage only good and proper thoughts. Hypnotic techniques are used to alter mental states, undermine critical thinking, and even to age, regress the member. In a lot of spiritual cults, I've heard of this happening, especially the Twin Ray group. Very, very, very intense. I might link it below. A former member who I've actually directly connected with. I've spoken with her. She was on the Cults to Consciousness podcast, and it is also a YouTube video here. And I'll link her episode if I remember. Actually, you know what? I'm going to write down. What did I say I would link earlier? Here. Calicia's C2C EP link. And I said I would link, the Byte Model PDF. Okay. So their retreats and their ceremonies were hours long, deprived of sleep and food. And it was like a ritual, it was like a guided meditation kind of thing, incantations that led people through a sequence. It was like a ceremony. And there were multiple ceremonies in a short amount of time. Some of them involving substances that the allegedly involved substances that the group members were unaware of, and that is highly not okay. And so that gets you into an altered state of mind, even without substances. Any type of hypnosis or like a guided meditation or like even a relaxation technique with the right words and the right, surrender from the member and the trust, because arguably you put everything into your guru. So if they know best and they have your best interest at heart, right? Or so they say, you're going to trust them and be led through this thing that's supposed to heal your entire life, right? So that is literally on a scientific level getting your neuroplasticity to increase. And when your neuroplasticity is increased, it makes the programming of ideas stronger, faster. That's literally neuroscience. So they're literally reprogramming you in this altered state. And it just solidifies the dogma more and more. Yeah, I'm seeing wow in the comments. Yeah. So guys, this is like serious stuff, okay? So that's number 5 in this list. Number 6 is memories are manipulated and false memories are created. That is not something that was present in the group I left, but the next one says teaching thought-stopping techniques. This was very much a part of it, which shut down reality testing by stopping negative thoughts and allowing only positive thoughts, including denial, rationalization, justification, wishful thinking, chanting, meditating, praying, or speaking in tongues, including singing or humming. So the thought-stopping techniques, the thought policing was so bad in the group that I left. I'll be going into a lot more detail with that in my video, but we were told that if we entertained an unfavorable emotion for too long, we were, you guessed it, opening ourselves up to attack. We were endangering ourselves, basically. So you had to be ready with counter arguments at all times. This is something that I've unfortunately seen in fundamental Christianity circles, the thought policing of like you have a fearful thought or a doubt or you're feeling sad or hopeless and it's like, no, God loves me, God has a plan. Like whatever that looks like for you, it's like you're beating yourself down. You are shoving down the warning signs that are trying to come up in your body. You're basically separating yourself away from your humanity. You are separating away from your humanity and your body and yourself and your intuition. Like you do not become your own person anymore. It's really, really harmful. So like I said, I'll be going into more detail with that later, but really bad. Oh, thank you for this insight. The group I was in always talked about manifesting. Like you cannot even think negative thoughts or the negative thing would happen. Yes, this was also present in my group. You were blocking your blessings if you had fears or doubts, or if you are sad or angry, you are just making your own life worse for having those emotions. It's like, no, this is what being human is. This is something that I've actually deeply worked on recently. It's something I am finally in like the home stretch of working on in my own self, is this sense of trust and mercy. If God is supposed to love us, we're not going to be punished for being human. This is what we came here to do and like came here to live this experience. And so it's like knowing that, and the proof is what helps me. It's what reprograms the brain, is to allow yourself the opportunities to see a different reality. And for me, that has been remembering all of the times that I did feel sad and I did feel angry and I was worrying my pretty little head away completely. And everything worked out. But not only that, it worked out way better than I expected. Explain that one, ex-guru. Like, I'm sorry, what? If I was so worried, the rationale would have been like, you know, the explanation would have been, and not just my ex-guru, but others of like, oh, well, you're worrying, you're putting this negative energy into this thing. You need to just trust, you know, you need to just have faith. And it's like, I am suppressing myself by doing that, and just you're bypassing. It's called bypass, spiritual bypass. Being positive makes a big impact, yes, but sometimes things happen and it's not our fault. Yes. We are not always in control. That's a big thing that cults do is, you know, you're being a victim. I'm literally watching The Vow on HBO right now, and it's about Nexium. You are choosing to be a victim. You know, you are like not regulating yourself. You're going off the deep end by questioning this and wanting to leave, basically. So it's just so harmful. This affects your entire concept of life. It affected my entire concept of life. It has impacted my relationships, my career, my mental health, my physical health. It has affected everything. I can't continue to see people like this profiting off of the harm and off of the backs of honest, loving people who just want to be in a community and to be loved and to understand, being able to have the tools to relate to the universe. So this next one is rejection of rational analysis, critical thinking, and constructive criticism. Yes, you can't criticize the leader. I was like, a big reason why things unfolded the way that they did when I was trying to, when I was thinking of leaving and in the process of leaving the group that I was in, was like, because you care about your guru, you idolize them. And I was like, oh, this just sucks. I wish that I could talk to her and reason with her about why this is not okay. That is not an option. I'll talk about it more in my video, but basically there was this very covert but very strong tension and belief, for me at least, that if we brought any kind of criticism up or any concerns of that nature, she would say, oh, you're being hijacked right now. Like your perception is off right now. That kind of gaslighting, kind of manipulation crap. So I was like, no, there's no way that I can say what's on my heart and have her accept it. There's no way. So from there, I felt really trapped. I'm like, there's no other option. I have to leave. But then you're afraid of like, oh, well, what if I'm going to just have bad experiences again, or the nightmares are going to come back, or because I'm going to get into it more in the video, but I had reached a plateau in my studies. And I was also having, I think, demonic experiences where I was in the middle of transferring from community college to university. I was trying to get a handle on my physical health because I was handling I was trying to get treatment for and in the process of getting accommodations for the chronic pain that I experienced nearly every single day back then. I have a lot more relief now. It's been a hell of a journey to get to where I am. But anyway, back then was the beginning of it. It was extremely hard to be a full-time student and to be in the pain that I was in. So on top of that, I felt energetically drained. I literally felt like something was sucking the life out of me, like in Harry Potter, like the Dementors in Harry Potter. I literally felt like that. Not to be funny, like it was really concerning. I was scared. And so that was around the time that I reconnected with my mentor after not talking to her for a time because, you know, I was doing other stuff and she was doing other stuff. But like I stepped away because I actually, as a student, I was like not really in the financial position to continue working for her or with her. That's why I took a step back. And she was like, I wish I could help you. You have XYZ going on with your root chakra. Again, I'm going to talk about it later, but just for context. that was the place I was in. She had this healing session with me that was 2.5 hours long. And not only did she get rid of the draining feeling I was experiencing and banished the crap that was siphoning off of me and draining my energy, that's when she told me about, and that's when she arguably indoctrinated me into all of the starseed stuff, glorious purpose, galactic wars, aliens, blah blah blah. Like it's all it's all this stuff. So yeah, that was yeah, so anyway, um she helped me and she got me out of that place. And so this is where I was going with that is I didn't want to go back to that. I didn't know what life would look like without this. And that's something that a lot of people in cults experience. And sometimes people have physical investments in these spaces. Like they might have a whole husband or a child or a house or a business. Like they make their money in this community. Like that was popular, or not popular. That was a thing in Nexium and a thing in the Twin Flames universe. These people who are certified in these programs that are specific and only exist in the cult, that is their livelihood. Their cult is their entire world. So leaving everything behind is like you don't know what the world looks like after. So finally, these last few points are labeling alternative belief systems as illegitimate, evil, or not useful. Yes, very present in the cult I left. And instill new map of reality, very present. So last but not least, I know this is already 51 minutes long. My streams usually aren't this long. But this final section is emotional control. This is where that policing comes in more. Manipulate and narrow the range of feelings. Some emotions and or needs are deemed as evil, wrong, or selfish. Yes. Teach emotion stopping techniques to block feelings of homesickness, anger, or doubt. Yes. Make the person feel that problems are always their own fault. What were we just saying in the comment section? Never the leader's fault or the group's fault. Promote feelings of guilt or unworthiness, such as identity guilt, historical guilt, social, your thoughts, your affiliations, your family, like just guilt in any way that they can poke at you. Instill fear, such as fear of, this was very present, fear of thinking independently, fear of the outside world, enemies, losing one's salvation, leaving or being shunned by the group, and others' disapproval. Like all of a sudden you won't have a purpose, all of a sudden you won't be loved, all of a sudden everything's going to be bad for you basically in life. Extremes of emotional highs and lows, love bombing and praise one moment and then declaring you a horrible sinner the next. Ritualistic and sometimes public confession of sins. And then lastly, phobia indoctrination, inculcating irrational fears about leaving the group or questioning the leader's authority. No happiness or fulfillment possible outside of the group. Terrible consequences like hell, demon possession, incurable diseases, accidents, insanity, like all of that. Shunning of those who leave, fear of being rejected by friends and family. So yeah, it's like being rejected by the people you so long associated with. But then coming out of the cult, people are afraid that their family is going to judge them. Like, how are you so stupid? How did you do this? Like, how did you fall into this? It's like, no, because it didn't start as that. What did I say at the beginning of the stream? Taking it full circle. People don't get into cults on purpose. Like, it is not like, oh yeah, we're going to treat you horribly and make you doubt yourself at every turn and not be able to sleep or eat. Like, huh? Nobody signs up for that. Nobody. Come on. So, never a legitimate reason to leave. Those who leave are weak, undisciplined, unspiritual, worldly, brainwashed by family or a counselor, seduced by money, whatever, just like physical world temptations, I guess. Temptations. And then finally, threats of harm to ex-member and family. Yes, that I've seen present in some of the more popular, wider known organizations. Yeah. a comment here. The perfect balance of love bombing and tagging you as a horrible sinner. Yeah, so it's like you're put in this weird limbo. Your nervous system is just on fire all the time of like, you feel great and you feel like a heightened sense of significance because you have this mission, right? You're a star seed. You came here to save the world, or whatever the cult is telling you. And then like, oh, well, no, you have to keep up with the rituals. You have to do this, you have to do that. Otherwise, you're not an ethical practitioner. You're not safe. You're not protected. You're not, pure, whatever. That was just what I directly experienced. But in other groups, it's even worse. Like what this said of the love bombing versus like, oh no, you're actually a horrible person if you don't follow everything to a T, right? Okay, guys, I've been talking for 55 minutes. How are we feeling? I'm so excited to come out with my video, guys. I'm going to be doing that really, really soon. I'm finally done with the script, or the bullet points, I should say. I hope that it'll be understandable. It took me a really long time to dig through, let alone accept what I experienced. And so I hope that how I explain it might be a really long video, okay? But I hope that it makes sense and that it flows. I'm going to try to keep it in chronological order and just share everything that happened. And even stuff that happened literally just a few months ago, you guys. Even after I left, there were things that unfolded on social media and on the internet. So if that's not a little hook for you guys, I don't know what will be. Like, watch, because stuff happened. So, yes, thank you so much for watching. I'm here every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central Time. Other time zones are marked in my banner on my channel and also in my community tab post. All of my other socials and online presences are linked in the Linktree link in my bio. I said this 2 live streams ago. Guys, I'm telling you, I'm like 10 minutes. I have 10 minutes of footage left to edit, or I guess like recording audio for my upcoming podcast episode where I feature my nice fancy new microphone. I'm so excited. So get ready for a massive increase of quality. I'm so stoked for that. Per the recommendation of my dear uncle, who's very artsy and cool, and he's been doing professional audio work like voiceovers and stuff like that for like ever. So he gave me a really affordable but really high quality, like professional level option that I bought. And I use it now. So keep an eye out for that. I'm sending you all so much love wherever you're at. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, night, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you, guys.